Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Decryption and I hope you are well. This year I took part in the GMTK 2023 Game Jam, where the theme was roles reversed. If you don't know what a Game Jam is, it's a little challenge that is released challenging people to make a game in a set time frame with some rules. Typically a theme is one of the rules. This time the challenge was 48 hours, make a game that used the theme roles reversed. The theme was released and the ideas started flying. I got in the car with my partner and my brother, and whilst we went to buy some fish and chips, we discussed the ideas along the way until I arrived one that I decided I was going to do. Legend of Link, a game where you play as Princess Zelda who has to rescue Link, reversing the roles. The game was a third-person adventure game where you controlled Zelda, trying to find a hero who will go and rescue Link after he was captured by Manjaro. You go down to the village and try to find a hero. And spoilers? When you can't find a hero, you take matters into your own hands, using your magic to defeat the demons and go and rescue Link. This is the post-implementation review, where we look at what went right, what went wrong, what I would change, did I improve since the last time I did one of these, what did I learn, viewer feedback, reviewing the ratings, and next plans. So let's get started. Thinking back to the development of this game, I actually think that this game was most consistently successful in every place I went that I've ever done. Literally nothing went wrong for any period of time that could be considered time consuming. Adding the ALS movement system, world building, ability system, all of it just worked. The story was developed almost on the fly with some research on Google. I had some voice actors for a lot of the voices and the gameplay just worked. But the tricky thing is I've never actually played Zelda before. I think I played the first game when I was in college and that wasn't even very long, like 10 minutes max. And apart from that and the brief videos I've seen, I know almost nothing. So it was a fun challenge learning about the game at the same time, and yes, I do kind of want to play Zelda now. I had fun jumping around the map, playing the new sections I've added. It also helped that all the new things I added just seemed to work first time with no issues, which was fantastic. So with all that positivity, unfortunately things always do sometimes go wrong, and this is where the entire thing fell apart. The game itself, there's nothing wrong with it. As I said before, everything went fine. There were some minor hiccups, were no concern at all. In fact, the only issue I did have was when I asked a bunch of voice actors. I had 7 lined up. Unfortunately, some of them had to reschedule due to prior arrangements and family commitments, so I ended up with 3, and that was still more than I normally do. But that aside, it was all good. But because of this next reason, I was actually debating making this video in the first place, because in hindsight, it's such a silly reason, but at the time, it was a big reason, and it's something everybody will face. I deployed the game, waited excitedly for people to play, I cracked on playing other people's games, having fun, and then I got the first comment. Fantastic, 1 FPS. They said they couldn't get over 1 FPS. So naturally I figured maybe they've got a low spec computer. I asked them, no, they've got a pretty decent spec PC. The graphics card was a little low, but that was it. Nothing that should be causing 1 FPS. And that's what really did it. A single FPS when trying to run the game. Surely I hadn't made the same mistake I've done previously. I checked everything. It was running solidly on 60 FPS for me. I sent the game to a bunch of friends and not one of them had an issue running it. Some of them were even running on a mid-tier gaming laptop and still cracking 45 to 60 FPS solid. So what was the issue? I had no idea. So I even tried to hire an Unreal developer who's experienced for many years to perform an analysis on my game so I can learn. And very kindly, he said it's going to take me a few minutes, it's not even worth charging, I'll just do it for free. And I was so grateful. So sit, thank you, you're an absolute legend. But his findings were nothing. There's nothing wrong with the game. It was running at 120 FPS stable. So what was the issue? I couldn't find it. I couldn't replicate it. That's when my friend Kemp decided to randomly try something. He said, can I have the download link? I'm going to try it on my work computer. I figured, okay, running on a low spec office PC, you know, and there it was. Extremely low FPS, which matched the comment. And normally I'd think, well, yeah, you're running on a low spec PC, but this PC wasn't as low spec as I figured. It's a powerful CPU, powerful RAM, everything else. The only thing is the GPU is a bit questionable, but you can run 4 monitors on it. You think you'd be able to run a game at decent frame rate. And that's when I had the feeling to try it on my own work computer and got the same issue, really low FPS. And from what my researchers told me, it's something to do with either Nanite or Lumen. When it's running on an older version of Nvidea cards, something that can't run a specific version of DirectX or something, the game just won't don't work properly. It does point out an error in some instances. I got an error telling me there was going to be performance issues, but not everybody did. So at this point, the first comment, that was it. I'd gone to a bunch of people, asked them to play it, no issues, and the consumer of the games were having issues, so I gave up. One comment in, I just stopped playing all games and I lost motivation. I gave up. And for all of you that don't know, game jams typically work on a karma style voting system. You vote on a game and it puts you in a pool of people, and that pool is people who require votes. When people look for games to play, that pool is grabbed at a random intersection and placed on their screen. They pick a game to play and that's it. It's not specifically a one-for-one voting system, but if you imagine it is, you vote for one game, you're added to the pool. When somebody votes for your game, you're taken out to one-for-one. So the task is easy, right? Keep playing more games, get more votes. But when you lose all motivation and start thinking nobody can play your game, even one comment in, you don't really see the point of continuing. You're just asking people to play a game that's broken. It's not a nice thing to do, so you kind of start. Thankfully, I played a bunch of games the first night and I got a minimum of 9 votes out of 7,000, which is low. So, what would I change? It might be easy to say, now that we've gone through all of this, saying one comment shouldn't have stopped you, and you're absolutely right. I don't know if I wasn't in the right headspace, I don't know if I just panicked, but one comment shouldn't have stopped me. And the proof is in the 8 other comments I got, of all of them saying the game was great. There was no problems, minor bugs with collisions and stuff, but completely playable. One comment just broke me, and I don't know why. It's nothing to do with the individual, nothing at all. They just simply couldn't run the game. It shouldn't have stopped me the way it did. So the number one thing I would change is just don't give up hope, especially so easily, even when it looks like there's no way to succeed. Unless you have tried every single outcome, don't give up, don't stop. And that's what I should have done. I should have carried on, and I would have got a lot more votes, possibly very positive. So now that we've got the performance issues out of the way, let's discuss what I would change about the game. And this is the most surprising thing as I was writing this script. I don't think I would. Adding more things to the game, sure. I'd love to add more abilities, heroes, better battles, more levels, but time constraint is not a change, that's just a scope creep. The game itself has everything I love doing in games design. Good movement, dialogue, quests, tutorials, combat, cutscenes, credits. So the main thing I would change is just don't give up. The game itself is fantastic. If I had more time, I'd continue with it. Obviously, with it being Legend of Zelda and Nintendo, I can never ever license the game, but it's still a good game. So let's move on to something more positive. Did I improve since last time? Each time I dedicate this portion of the video to review what went wrong last time and whether I improved. Last time, one of my personal critiques was if I don't like the theme, don't do it. I forced myself to do it, and I got a good game out of it, but I didn't enjoy a lot of it. And I'm not forced to do the game jam, and I need to stick to that, and I did. I fully went into this not expecting to take part if the theme was not to my tastes, and thankfully, I did like the theme, so I took part. Next, I wanted to add a cutscene. Any type of cutscene. My favourite cutscene to date was the one I made for child daycare battles. You run around defeating enemies, you finally find the boss. The cutscene takes over, you see him growl, he jumps up and talks, lands on the floor, and the boss battle begins. Such an epic cutscene, and I made that live on stream as well. Now this cutscene isn't nowhere near as big as that. For that game I had nearly a week to create it. For this I had 48 hours, I didn't have time. But I did manage to get a little cutscene in there. A simple camera pan on Unreal's camera rail system, panning around the map, showing your end destination and where you need to go, and then some dialogue over speaking at the top, telling you what you need to do. Light, subtle, and just very nice. Finally, I wanted to jump onto new ideas and embrace them more. I've always just done the same repetitive things with minor additions just to make sure the game succeeds. But this time I just demolished them when I'm trying loads of new things, and I absolutely did. So many new things I've never done before that I've added into the game, and I loved working on them, and they all just worked really well. So here is where we look at the new things I leveled up in this jam. The first thing was the new ALS system. For those who haven't heard of it, it stands for the Advanced Locomotion System. It provides a very polished starting character with crouching, IK, climbing, running, everything you can think. It's a bit daunting at first, especially when you see the Community Edition is written solely in C++, but once you get it, it's so easy to use. Next was the Niagara system. Niagara is the particle system in Unreal that provides a super easy way to create really advanced particles really easily. I didn't create my own, but I heavily modified the free ones I found on the marketplace, and I've got a much better understanding of how Niagara works. C++ is something I've said in every single video that I would want to learn and start using, and I've never had the opportunity to push myself until I used ALS in narrative. I jumped into the C++ so many times during this project to figure out what variables existed, what I needed to use, made even minor tweaks a little bit, and it's absolutely the step in the right direction. I might actually start trying to create my own C++ files in the future. Now, as you know, I'm a huge fan of the narrative plugin. I help support it, I create tutorials, I've even been promoted to a Discord moderator to help with the plugin now. I've explored C++ so many times, suggested bugs, fixes, I've even added my own mods and started freelancing for some people to help them with the plugin. You'd think I know pretty much everything that there was to know, until I helped one small team out who casually mentioned something to me that blew my mind. I took it, added it to the game, and created a dialogue that I didn't have to come up with any complex conditional systems to make the dialogue play. I could just play random bits of dialogue anytime I wanted, and it allowed me to create the dialogue where Zelda talks to herself to guide the player in the game. One prime example is telling you you'll need to jump over here, or don't jump down there, or go and talk to this guy, stuff like that. Really easily to do, such a nice tool. So this is where we get to the feedback. If you didn't listen to the part that went wrong, this was not going to make much sense to you, but why are you skipping through the video? But the feedback as a whole is overwhelmingly positive. Only one major issue raised, whereas every other one was positive. The vast majority of comments loved the voice actress who played Zelda, big thanks to my sister for that, and the actor who played Bobo, thanks to my friend Lewis. They loved the ALS control system, the story was great, and the scope of the game was huge. I would have loved to see more comments on the game, so if you are willing, the game is 100% free. Please go and give it a go and leave me your feedback. I'd love to see what you think of it. So this year, I'm almost positive the rating system has changed. I don't remember these ratings before, but the rating system this time were presentation, enjoyment, creativity, and overall. As you can imagine, not having many votes put me quite low on the score charts. The worst rated was creativity at 5,968 out of 6,840. I assume because I used the Zelda IP and I basically just created a basic RPG but switched the characters around, it wasn't enough of a creative difference with the rules, which is completely understandable when you look at it from the outside. The next was enjoyment at 5,322 out of 6,840. I'm not sure if this was because people didn't complete the game or they got stuck in some areas, but it sounds like a lot of people might not have got to the combat stages. So next time I think I need to either tease with the combat or get into the gameplay a lot quicker to keep people's attention. Overall, placed me at 5,207th place for only 9 ratings. That does put me quite high, which I am happy with. Part of it makes me think that if I did have more votes I might have been higher, but that's something I'll just have to live with. Finally, the presentation was at 4,042. People loved the Cinti pack I used and the Zelda style painted on top of it. Extremely happy with that score. So, the next plans. If you've been on my channel recently, you will have seen the level of quality and the amount of videos have increased. Weekly videos exploring different topics in narrative and Unreal. With this being my focus, I haven't actually had much time to do much else. I didn't carry on with any project except my tutorials, but I did, however, start freelancing in Unreal. Only little jobs here and there, but good enough to boost my knowledge and my experience, and I've loved every minute of it. So my actual next plans are to continue with YouTube. I'm loving doing tutorials, I'm still learning doing the tutorials, and I have a few artists I'm currently working with on some secret projects. Subscribe so you can watch when they start to kick into motion. I think the next game jam is in August, so I'll probably keep my eye on that one as well. So that is it, The Legend of Link, my game jam submission for the GMTK 2023. Overall, I've learned a huge lesson. The game was epic. I loved it, I had fun playing it, I had fun making it, and I've learned so many new things. But I just need to not give up if the comments are all saying it's laggy. I should fix it and move on. Let them see the game I could actually make. And I should have absolutely have kept playing other people's games. So I am going to attempt to play other people's games and learn from what they've done as well. So I hope you like. Did you have any feedback or advice? Let me know below. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you next time.